Monsoon reaches Andaman and Nicobar. See, as the title denotes, the article talks about the findings related to Indian monsoon. So in this light, let us discuss in brief about monsoon. The syllabus covered under this topic discussion is given for your reference. Now let us go back to the article. See, the word monsoon derived from the Arabic word mausim literally means season. Basically, monsoon or seasonal winds that reverse their direction according to change in season. And this is the reason why they are called periodic winds. Coming to Indian monsoon, India has a hot monsoonal climate which is the prevalent climate in South and Southeast Asia. This type of climate in India is the characteristic of regions where the sun during its seasonal movement across the equator produces differential heating between the adjacent latitude belts of the Earth's surface. This happens irrespective of whether that surface is a land or water surface. If you see, the Indian monsoon is the most powerful among the monsoons of the world due to various reasons. Let us see the list of reasons. First one, it has a favorable geographical locations at the southern edge of the Asian continent, and the Tropic of Cancer is passing through the Indian subcontinent. Also know that India is covered by the vast Indian Ocean lying to its south, and the strong land-sea thermal contrast, especially during summer, is another most important reason for the powerful monsoon in Indian subcontinent. Also, because of the presence of Himalayan mountain barriers along its northern boundaries, the Indian monsoon is the most powerful among the monsoons of the world. All these contributes to two different monsoon patterns. Know that they are the northeast monsoon and the southwest monsoons. Our discussion today will primarily focus on the southwest monsoon. First, let us begin with the onset period and the coverage. Also, kindly follow the map as I explain. See, the period of June to September is referred to as the southwest monsoon period in our country. The southwest monsoon period is the principal rainy season for the Indian subcontinent as well. This is because the summer monsoon period is where whole country receives nearly 75% of its rainfall during this period. We so infer that it is the major source of rain for our country, and it plays a major role in our economies. See, southwest monsoon sets in over the extreme southwestern tip of the peninsula by the end of May month. The onset of monsoon is characterized by a sudden spurt of rainfall activity. See, it progresses inland in stages and covers the entire country by the middle of July. And know that the monsoon starts retrieving from the extreme northwest by the beginning of the September month, progressively receding southwards. The notable feature here is that Tamil Nadu that is considered as a rain shadow region as it lies on the eastern side of the Western Ghats. This takes us the question as to why this time of the year, why not the other months doesn't witness any monsoon period. Let us know some important details to understand that. We know that during April month, it is a summer season, and the sun shines vertically over the Tropic of Cancer, and so the large landmass in the north of Indian Ocean gets intensively heated. This causes the formation of an intense low pressure in the northwestern part of the subcontinent. Know that the pressure in the Indian Ocean in the south of the landmass is high at the same period. And as the water gets heated slowly, the low pressure cell in the landmass attracts the southeast trade across the equatorial region. These southwest monsoon may thus be seen as a continuation of the southeast trades that are deflected towards the Indian subcontinent after crossing the equator. Hence, these winds cross the equator between 40° east and 60° east longitudes due to the northward shift of the ITCZ. Now let us quickly refresh what is ITCZ. The Intertropical Convergence Zone, or the ITCZ, is a region that circles the Earth near the equator. See, it exists because of the convergence of trade winds. In case of the northern hemisphere, the northeast trade winds converge with southeast trade winds from the southern hemisphere. The point at which the trade wind converge forces the air up into the atmosphere, forming this Intertropical Convergence Zone. Another important feature about ITCZ is that it follows the sun, and in that the position varies seasonally. Also note that the ITCZ moves in the northern hemisphere during the summer season and places itself in the south of the northern hemisphere during the winter season. Therefore, this ITCZ is responsible for the wet and dry seasons in the tropics. And note that it is over the Indian subcontinent that the northward fluctuations is highest due to the excessive heating of the vast landmass. Coming back to the monsoon again. With that, the southwest monsoon sets in over the Kerala coast by the 1st of June or by the end of the May and moves swiftly to reach Mumbai and Kolkata between 10th and 13th of June. By the mid-July, the southwest monsoon engulfs the entire continent. Now, let us see how it manifests. See, this monsoon with its onset has two rain-bearing systems. First, it originates in the Bay of Bengal, causing rainfall over the plains of North India. Second is the Arabian Sea current of the southwest monsoon, which brings rain to the west coast of India. See, the monsoon winds originating over the Arabian Sea further split into three branches. Please follow the map as I explain. The first branch is where it is obstructed by the Western Ghats. These winds climb the slopes of the Western Ghats from 900 to 1200 meters, where they become cool, and as a result, the windward side of the western coastal plain receives very high rainfall ranging between 250 to 400 centimeters. After crossing the Western Ghats, these winds descend and gets heated up. This reduces the humidity in the wind, and as a result, these winds cause little rainfall east of the Western Ghats. This region of the low rainfall is also known as the rain shadow region. Another branch of Arabian Sea monsoon strikes the coast north of Mumbai. Moving along the Narmada and Tapi river valley, these winds cause rainfall in the extensive areas of central India. In addition to it, the Chota Nagpur plateau gets 15 cm rainfall from this part of the branch. Thereafter, they enter the Ganga plains and mingle with the Bay of Bengal branch. We shall later see about the Bay of Bengal branch. Now let us see the third branch of the monsoon winds originating over the Arabian Sea. See, the third branch of this monsoon wind strikes the Saurashtra Peninsula and the Kutch region. It then passes over the West Rajasthan and along the Aravallis, causing only a scanty rainfall over the region. In Punjab and Haryana, it too joins the Bay of Bengal branch. These two branches, reinforced by each other, cause rain in the western Himalayas. Now let us look into the Bay of Bengal branch. See, this branch strikes the coast of Myanmar and part of the southeast Bangladesh. But the Arakan Hills along the coast of Myanmar deflects a large portion of this branch towards the Indian subcontinent. As a result, the monsoon enters West Bengal and Bangladesh from south and southeast instead of from the southwestern direction directly. From here, this branch splits into two under the influence of Himalayas. Its one branch moves westward along the Ganga plains, reaching as far as the Punjab plains, whereas the other branch moves up to Brahmaputra Valley in the north and the northeast, causing widespread rains. Note that its sub-branch strikes the Garo and Khasi hills of Meghalaya, where the place Mawsynram receives the highest average rainfall in the world. As we saw already, Tamil Nadu will be in the rain shadow region of southwest monsoon. Apart from this, many theories have been put forward to explain monsoon. Further, El Nino and La Nina along with Indian Ocean Dipole influence the Indian monsoon. We also saw about this in April 14th discussion. Kindly refer to the discussion dated April 14 so that it could be very easy for the aspirants to understand. With this, we have come to the end of this topic discussion. Now let us move to the next topic. Moving to the next article. 13 Naxals killed in Maharashtra.
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindi News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the date 21st of May 2021. These are the list of news articles taken for today's discussion. The discussion for today is based on this open article, which is based on a rare topic. So these are certain examples where collective governance has resulted leading to an effective public service delivery. So these are the points that you can take note from this editorial article in which we discussed about the Weberian model of bureaucracy and the issues with it. Now let's move on to the next discussion. Now this next discussion is based on this news article which reports about the role played by ventilation in diluting the aerosols which are emitted by the COVID infection patients. So in this regard, today
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the day 20th May 2021. These are the list of news articles that is let us discuss in detail about thunderstorms, how they are formed, their life cycle, etc. The syllabus covered by this article is highlighted below for your reference. First of all, a thunderstorm is a rain shower during which you hear thunder. Since thunder comes from lightning, all thunderstorms have lightning. See, a thunderstorm is the result of convection, usually created by surface heating. Convection is the upward atmospheric motion that transports whatever is in the air along with it, especially any moisture available in the air. Have a look at the figure to understand the structure of thunderstorms. See, thunderstorms can look like tall heads of cauliflower or they can have anvils. An anvil is a flat cloud formation at the top of the storm and it forms when the warm air rising has reached a point where the surrounding air is about the same temperature or even warmer, and then the cloud growth abruptly stops and it flattens out to take the shape of an anvil. See, thunderstorms are frequent around the world, and worldwide there are an estimated 16 million thunderstorms each year, and at any given moment there are roughly 2,000 thunderstorms in progress. Know that thunderstorms are most likely in the spring and summer months and during the afternoon and evening hours, but they can occur year-round and at all hours as well. So how does a thunderstorm form? See, three basic ingredients are required for a thunderstorm to form, and they are moisture, rising unstable air, and a lifting mechanism to provide the nudge. See, the sun eats the surface of the earth, which warms the air above it, and this warm surface air is forced to rise, and hills or mountains or areas where warm or cold or wet or dry air bump together can cause rising motion. It will continue to rise as long as it weighs less and stays warmer than the air around it, and as the air rises, it transfers heat from the surface of the earth to the upper levels of the atmosphere called convection. The water vapor it contains begins to cool, releases the heat, condenses and forms a cloud, and the cloud eventually grows upward into areas where the temperature is below freezing. And as the storm rises into freezing air, different types of ice particles can be created from freezing liquid drops, and the ice particles can grow by condensing vapor and by collecting smaller liquid drops that haven't frozen yet. So when two ice particles collide, they usually bounce off each other, but one particle can rip off a little bit of ice from the other one and grab some electric charge. So lots of these collisions build up big regions of electric charges to cause a bolt of lightning, which creates the sound waves we hear as thunder. So finally, let us see about the thunderstorm life cycle. See, thunderstorms have three stages in their life cycle. They are the developing stage, the mature stage, and the dissipating stage. The developing stage of a thunderstorm is marked by a cumulus cloud that is being pushed upward by a rising column of air, and there is little to no rain during the stage, but of course, occasional lightning occurs. Then the thunderstorm enters the mature stage when the updraft continues to feed the storm, but precipitation begins to fall out of the storm. And this creates a downdraft, that is a column of air pushing downward. Note that the mature stage is the most likely time for hail, heavy rain, frequent lightning, strong winds, etc. And eventually, a large amount of precipitation is produced, and the updraft is overcome by the downdraft, beginning the dissipating stage. Remember, here the rainfall decreases in intensity, but lightning remains a danger. So these are some relevant facts about the thunderstorms. With these informations in mind, let's move on to the next news discussion. Now look at this article. It reports about the USS Curtis Wilbur.
Dear aspirants, welcome to the Hindu News analysis for the dates 17th, 18th and 19th of May 2021. As informed already through community posts on YouTube, we were facing certain technological challenges for the past 2 days, and because of the severe COVID-19 pandemic and the associated lockdown, it took some time for us to address them, and we are extremely sorry for the inconvenience caused because of such challenges. Also, we are thankful to you for your support all these days. And since we are going to see the analysis for the 3 days,
welcome to the Hindu News analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. These are the list of news articles selected for today's analysis. And the page numbers in different editions of the newspaper. The link for the handwritten notes in the PDF.
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindi News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the day 15th of May 2021. These are the list of news articles taken for
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. These are the list of news articles that will be discussed to the next news article. Our next news discussion is going to be based on. It includes refusal to disclose the whereabouts of the persons concerned or refusal to PIO cards or the person of Indian origin cards and the overseas. And finally, it is expected to become a cyclone by the 16th of May. See, officials said that while heavy to very heavy rain may lash the Western Ghats and the southern districts, places such as Chennai may have a chance of light rain. So in this context, let us discuss about the Western Ghats from the UPSC perspective. See, the Western Ghats are mountain ranges that are older than the Himalayan mountains in India. Also, it represents geomorphic features of immense importance with unique biophysical and ecological processes. The most important characteristics of Western Ghats is that the sites high mountain forest ecosystems influence the Indian monsoon weather pattern. Note that it also has an exceptionally high level of biological diversity and endemism, and it is recognized as one of the world's 8 hottest hotspots of biological diversity. Coming to its geography, see, it is a chain of mountains that is running parallel to India's western coast, approximately to about 30 to 50 kilometers inland. Note that the Ghats traverse the states of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Goa, Maharashtra and Gujarat, and also these mountains cover an area of about 140,000 kilometers squared in a 1,600 kilometer long stretch. Note that the Western Ghats is interrupted only by the 30 kilometer Palghat gap at around 11 degree north. Now, on relating these features with a news article, the Western Ghats act as a key barrier intercepting the rain-laden monsoon winds that sweep in from the southwest during late summer, and this brings rainfall in and around the region. And you should also note that this type of rainfall is also called as orographic rainfall. So with this, we have come to the end of this news discussion. Let us now move on to the prelims practice question discussion. Now look at this.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy. Here are the list of news articles chosen for discussion today. and the video is timestamped for your convenience. That the name Takte has been given by Myanmar, and we have discussed elaborately about the naming of cyclones in our 24th November 2020 analysis. I recommend you to go through the PDF of that for better understanding. Today, let us discuss about the formation of cyclone, its structure, severity, grading, etc. See, cyclone is a very important topic in geography realm, so pay attention. See, a cyclonic storm is an intense vortex or a whirl in the atmosphere with very strong winds circulating around it in anti-clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere and in clockwise direction in the southern hemisphere. We know the difference is because of the Coriolis force, right? And the tropical cyclones are also referred to as hurricanes over Atlantic Ocean, typhoons over Pacific Ocean, willy wells over Australian Sea, and simply as cyclones over North Indian Ocean. This difference in the nomenclature is something that you'll have to remember. So cyclones are an intense low pressure areas from the center of which pressure increases outwards. The amount of pressure drop in the center and the rate at which it increases outwards gives the intensity of the cyclones and the strength to the winds. So let's also see the structure. See, structure of a cyclone has a full-grown cyclone is a violent whirl in the atmosphere with 150 to 1000 km diameter and 10 to 15 km height. Gale winds of about 150 to 250 km per hour or more spiral around the center of the low pressure system with 30 to 100 pascals below normal sea level pressure. And in a fully developed cyclonic storm, there are four major components of horizontal structure. That is the eye, which is in the center, wall or the cloud region, rain spiral bands, and outer storm area. So have a look at this figure to understand the four areas. The eye forms at the center of the storm inside a central dense overcast region. See, the eye has a diameter for about 10 to 50 kilometers, which is generally cloud free and is surrounded by thick walls of clouds around it, not over it, but around it. Okay. And the eye is surrounded by a 10 to 15 kilometer thick wall of convective clouds where the maximum winds occur. And this is the most dangerous part of the cyclonic storm. That is the walls of the eye. And the height of the wall can go up to 10 to 15 kilometers upwards. And beyond the eye walls region, the major convective clouds in a cyclonic storm is responsible for heavy rains and have a partially spirally banded structure. These spiral bands are sometimes hundreds of kilometers long and a few kilometers wide also. And let's come to the outer storm area. This outer storm area is the region beyond 250 kilometers from the center, where the wind is cyclonic, but the wind speed decreases slowly outward. And the weather conditions in the outer storm area are better with scattered cumulus growth interspersed with spiral bands. Here is where the climate is actually pleasant. Okay. Now, finally, have a look at the table to understand the classification of cyclonic disturbances over the northern Indian Ocean. So this table is just for your reference. So in this discussion, we saw about the cyclones, their structure and their spread, and their severity is also mentioned, from which you can expect some preliminary exam questions. Now look at this news article. It reports the views of World Trade Organization.
Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. These are the news articles chosen for today's discussion. They are given along with the
deep learning. Okay. See, machine Now with this, let's move on to the next section. Let us take up this news article for discussion. This news article is regarding the recently released 7th population census of China, and it recorded a slowing population growth rate indicating China's population peak as early as 2025. So India may overtake China's population growth by 2025. So in this context, let us discuss important points from the article and compare it with the Indian scenario. All right. So this is the syllabus for your reference. See, this discussion is going to entail a lot of facts. Let's go over it one by one. The article says that in China, 12 million or 1.2 crore babies were born last year, and it is the lowest number since 1961. And as per the census, China's population was 1.41 billion in 2020, and compared to the 2010 census, the population has been about 72 million, recording a 5.3% growth, and the average annual growth rate was 0.53%. All right. The census recorded 26.4 crore in the age group of 60 and over, and this shows an increase of 5.44% from 2010, and they account for 18.7% of the population. These are in the 15 to 59 age group. Those in the 15 to 59 age group were 89.4 crore, and this has decreased by 6.79% from 2010, accounting for 63.35% of the population. See, the slowing population growth rate is a result of China's stringent planning rules and better known as one-child policy. See, this along with other restrictions has evoked several concerns such as rapidly aging society, impact on China's labor force, etc. And that is why the article says that the China fears that it will get old before it gets rich. So we can say that these concerns are validated by census data. So considering this, in 2016 itself, China scrapped the one-child policy, but this was not successful. Hence, China is likely to enter a period of population decline very soon. And know that China's workforce is in the bracket of 15 to 59 age, and it peaked in 2011. And in this census, this has dropped to 89.4 crores and may further drop to 70 crores by 2050. And this indicates the huge impact of aging population in China on the labor force and the economic growth. See, why is aging population a concern? See, aging population is a liability on the government. The government should be able to fund the medical expenses of the aging population. But the young population is considered as an asset because they are the one who constitute the labor force and they help in the growth of the economy. So the census has also highlighted China's increasingly educated workforce and its rapid pace of urbanization. Alright, the details are here in the slide. Now let's come to the Indian scenario. Coming to India, India's population is expected to increase from 121.1 crore to 152.2 crores during the period from 2011 to 2036. And this indicates an increase of 25.7% in 25 years at the rate of 1% annually. And the crude birth rate will decline from 20.1 during 2011-2015 to 13.1 during 2031-35 because of the falling levels of total fertility. Right. So in contrast, the crude death rate is expected to increase marginally due to the changing age structure of the demographic. So this is a result of the continuing decline in fertility and increase in the expectation of life at birth. Okay. Between 2011 and 2036, because of the declining fertility, the proportion of population aged under 15 years is projected to decline from 30.9 to 20.1%. The proportion of the middle-aged group, that is 15 to 59 years, and the older ages, 60 years and above, are set to increase considerably. So you can see even India is aging, right? And the number of older persons in the population is expected to increase by more than double from 10 crores in 2011 to 23 crores in 2036. Also, the proportion of the population in the working age group is 15 to 59 years and is expected to rise from 60.7% in 2011 to 64.9% in 2036. So as we just saw in the discussion, the entire article is facts, facts and facts. So what I suggest is pick 3 or 4 facts from the article, which is very easy for you to remember, and you can quote these facts in your GS2 paper and as well as in your essay paper if necessary. And apart from that, you should also keep in mind the trends of Indian population growth for you to be able to answer any prelims question if at all asked on this area, right? So that brings us to the end of discussion on this particular news article. So with all those information, right now we are at...
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the news analysis session by Shankar IAS Academy, dated 11th May 2021. The topic for today's discussion
A very good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindi News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the date 9th of May 2021. These are the list of news articles. Taken for today's discussion.
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. These are list of news articles that will be discussed in today's analysis. They are provided along with the page numbers of different editions of the newspaper.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome again to the Hindu News Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy for the date 7th of May 2021. Here are the list of news articles chosen for discussion today, and the video is time-stamped for your convenience. As you know, as a segment of art...
Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy, dated 6 May 2021. The list of articles covered for today's discussion is given for your reference along with the page numbers in different editions. But before discussing the news article,
Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. These are the news articles chosen for today's discussion. discussion. They are given along with the page number of different editions.
Very good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the date 3rd of May 2021. These are the list of news articles taken for today's discussion. It has been provided along with the page numbers of these news articles in different editions of Hindu newspaper. Now, before discussing these news articles, let us start our today's session with this first segment of previous year only. So today we have discussed 4 questions that appeared in
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the day 2nd May 2021. These are the Let's take up this news article. This article is regarding the first blow-away galaxy that was discovered by Gemini telescope. So in this context, let us discuss about this discovery. The syllabus covered by this article is given below for your reference. See, a new study led by the astrophysicist from the University of Minnesota shows that high energy light from small galaxies may have played a key role in the early evolution of the universe. See, after the Big Bang, when the universe was formed billions of years ago, it was in an ionized state. This means that the electrons and protons, they floated freely throughout space. And as the universe expanded and started cooling down, it changed to a neutral state when the protons and electrons, they combined into atoms akin to water vapor condensing into a cloud. Now, however, scientists have observed that the universe is back in an ionized state, and a major endeavor in astronomy is figuring out how this happened. Astronomers have theorized that the energy for reionization must have come from galaxies themselves, but it's incredibly hard for enough high energy light to escape a galaxy due to the hydrogen clouds within it that absorbing the light. And this is more like the clouds in Earth's atmosphere that absorb sunlight on an overcast day. So in this context, the recent findings are very important. See, using the data from the Gemini telescope, the researchers have observed the first ever galaxy in a blow-away state. See, this means that the hydrogen clouds have been removed, allowing the high energy light to escape. And the scientists suspect that the blow-away was caused by many supernovas or dying stars exploding in a short period of time. Here, the researchers compare the star formation with blowing up of the balloon. If the star formation was more intense, then there would be a rupture or hole made in the surface of the balloon to let out some of that energy. And in the case of this galaxy, the star formation was so powerful that the balloon was torn into pieces. Note that the galaxy studied by the researchers is named as POX 186. It is so small that it could fit inside the Milky Way. So what made the blow-away possible in this galaxy? The reason for this could be its compact size, coupled with its large population of stars, which amount to 100,000 times the mass of the Sun. And the findings confirm that a blow-away is possible, furthering the idea that small galaxies were primarily responsible for the reionization of the universe. And this is giving more insight into how the universe became what it is today. If this one scenario is possible, then that means that there are other galaxies that also existed in blow-away states in the past, and understanding the consequences of this blow-away gives direct insight into the impacts of similar blow-aways during the process of reionization. With this information, finally, let us discuss the Gemini Observatory, which was used for this discovery. See, the Gemini Observatory, it consists of twin 8.1 meter diameter optical or infrared telescopes that is located on 2 of the best observing sites on the planet. And the 2 are located in Hawaii, known as Gemini North, and in Chile, known as Gemini South. The twin telescopes provide nearly complete coverage of the sky and are among the world's most advanced optical or infrared telescopes. This Gemini Observatory is owned and it is operated by a consortium of partners from the US, Canada, Chile, Brazil, and Argentina. See, the Gemini telescopes have been used to make invaluable observations of extrasolar planets, and the recently deployed Gemini Planet Imager, which is also called as GPI, it allows direct imaging and analysis of exoplanets that are a millionth as bright as their host star. And the telescopes are also used for a number of other studies that are relevant to astrobiology, including observations of the solar system, star formation and evolution, the structure and dynamics of galaxies, and also on distant quasars. With this, we have come to the end of this news discussion. Let's now move on to the next news article. Now, our next discussion is going.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis, brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy for the date 1st of May 2021. Here are the list of news articles with their page numbers, and the video is time-stamped for your reference.
Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. These are the news articles chosen for today's discussion.
A very good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the date 29th April 2021. These are the list of news articles taken for today's analysis. It has been provided along with the page numbers of different editions of Hindu newspaper. Now let us start our analysis with this first news article. This discussion is based on this news article which reports about the recent earthquake that was felt across northeast India, Bihar, West Bengal, Bhutan and Bangladesh. And according to the report by National Center of Seismology, the epicenter of this earthquake was at Dekhiajuli, which is a town in Assam. So in this context, let us see about earthquakes, the science behind it, and also about the seismic hazard zones or the earthquake hazard zones. The syllabus relevant to this discussion is given here for your reference. See, the Earth's crust is a rocky layer of varying thickness. The crust does not occur as a single piece, but rather it consists of multiple portions called as plates, which are of varying size. And the lithosphere of the Earth is broken into a number of plates known as lithospheric plates. Now, these plates move around very slowly due to the movement of molten magma that is inside the Earth. Now, such plate movements cause changes on the Earth's surface. Now, one of the forces that causes these changes is the endogenic forces. It is the force which acts in the interior of the Earth, and they produce slow as well as sudden movements. And one among them is the earthquake. So, what is an earthquake? It is a sudden shaking or trembling of the Earth which lasts for a very short time. It is a natural event that is caused by the disturbance deep down inside the Earth's crust. Now, these disturbances lead to the release of energy, which generates waves that travel in all directions. Or in other words, when the lithospheric plates move, the surface of the Earth produces vibrations that travel all around the Earth. And these vibrations are what are called as earthquakes. Now, how this is caused? See, the plates inside the Earth are in continual motion as we saw. So during their movement, they brush past one another, or one plate goes under another due to collision. So when these plates contact each other, stress arises, and these stress results in release of energy, and thus this energy causes disturbance in the Earth's crust. And it is this disturbance that shows up as an earthquake on the surface of the Earth. Now note that the release of this energy during an earthquake occurs along a fault. So what is a fault? A fault is a sharp break in the crustal rocks. Usually the rocks along a fault tend to move in opposite directions because the overlying rock strata presses these rocks which are moving in opposite directions. So the friction between these locks them together, but their tendency to move apart at some point of time overcomes this friction. And as a result of this, the blocks get deformed and eventually they slide past one another abruptly. Now this causes a release of energy whose waves travel in all directions. And remember that the point of rupture or the point where the energy is released is called as the focus of an earthquake. It is also called as hypocenter. Now this focus or hypocenter can be located near the surface or deep below the surface. And the point on the surface that is directly above this focus is termed as the epicenter of the earthquake. Now here additionally, let us also know about the vibrations caused by these earthquakes. As we saw earlier, the fault rupture generates vibration, and these vibrations are called as seismic waves. It means shock waves or earthquake waves. Now these waves radiate from the focus, that is the point of rupture, and it radiates in all directions at various frequencies and velocities. Now usually these vibrations travel outwards from the epicenter as seismic waves. And note that these waves are basically of two types. One is body waves, second one is surface waves. Now these body waves are generated due to the release of energy at the focus, and they move in all directions traveling through the body of the Earth, and that is why they are called as body waves. And this is further subdivided into two types. One is primary waves and second is secondary waves. The primary waves or the P waves are those that move faster and are the first to arrive at the surface. Now they are similar to sound waves and they can travel through gaseous materials, even liquid and solid materials. Now the second subtype is secondary waves or the S waves. Now these arrive at the surface with some time lag, and note that they can only travel through solid materials. Now the next type of waves is the surface waves. See, when the body waves interact with the surface rocks, it generates a new set of waves, and these are called as the surface waves. Now these waves move along the surface and they are more destructive. It is because they cause displacement of the rocks, and this eventually leads to the collapse of structures. Now how an earthquake is measured? It is measured with a machine called as seismograph, and generally the earthquakes are measured based on the magnitude or intensity of the shock. Now the magnitude of the earthquake is measured on the Richter scale. You would have all heard about Richter scale. In news also we hear that the earthquake was of 5 Richters, 7 Richters, etc. So based on the estimation of Richter scale, an earthquake with 6 or higher magnitude is considered very strong, and earthquakes of 7.0 Richters is classified as major earthquake. And we also saw that based on intensity of the shock also earthquakes are measured, and this is measured using the Mercalli scale, which is used to calculate the earthquake's intensity. Now the Mercalli scale expresses the intensity of earthquakes' effect on people, structures and on the Earth's surface. Now the range of the intensity scale is from 1 to 12. Now this map provides you the distribution pattern of earthquakes in India, and note that based on the intensive analysis of the past earthquakes, India is divided into 5 earthquake zones. These first 2 zones had experienced some of the most devastating earthquakes in India, and these include the northeastern states, areas along the Indo-Nepal border in Bihar, Uttarakhand, then western Himachal Pradesh and Kashmir Valley in the Himalayan region, and the Kutch region of Gujarat. So these areas are included in the very high damage risk zone. Then the second type of zone is the high damage risk zone. This includes the remaining parts of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, northern parts of Punjab, eastern parts of Haryana, Delhi, western Uttar Pradesh and northern Bihar. All these fall under high damage risk zone category. Now the remaining parts of the country fall under the moderate to very low damage large risk zones. You note that most of the areas that can be considered safe are from the stable landmass covered under the Deccan Plateau. So this is how earthquake hazard zones are provided in the NCRT. So we saw this. Now, additionally, you should also know that we have a seismic zoning map of India. Under this, the whole country has been divided into 4 zones based on the historical seismicity and strong ground motions. We have zone 5 to zone 2. Initially, we also had zone 1, but it was later merged with zone 2. Now, out of these zones, zone 5 exhibits the highest seismic risk and zone 2 has the least seismic risk. So as you can see here, zone 5 consists of parts of Jammu and Kashmir, mainly the Kashmir Valley, then western parts of Himachal Pradesh, eastern parts of Uttarakhand, then Kutch region in Gujarat, and also northeastern states and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So you can see that the very high damage risk zones which we just saw is nothing but the zone 5. So similarly, we can relate the high damage risk zone, that is the second category, with zone 2 of seismic zoning map of India. Now just note that the seismic zoning map of India is prepared by Bureau of Indian Standards. Now the other parts of the country which comes under the remaining zones is given here for your reference. So from the news article we can say that now the earthquake has occurred in the zone 5 which consists of Northeast India, Bihar, etc. So that is all about earthquakes, how they occur, then about earthquake zones or seismic zones, etc. Now let's move on to the next discussion. This discussion is based on this op-ed article which talks about antimicrobial resistance. See, the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has already killed over 3 million people globally. Especially, the pandemic has exposed the vulnerabilities of the health systems across the world to
Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. These are the list of news articles taken for today's analysis and the page numbers in different editions of the newspaper. Now let's move on to the analysis of first news article. This op-ed article, it talks about denial of basic the fact. Now let's move on to next part of the discussion. Now this news article talks about Mr. Joseph Biden's recognition relationship. Now let's move on to next part of the discussion. This news article was written by Saudi Arabia's ambassador to India. He lists out the initiatives taken by Saudi so as to build a climate resilient global economy for the future. Let us discuss these aspects in detail. The syllabus relevant for the analysis is highlighted here for your reference. See, the author talks about 2 recent initiatives that are launched by Saudi's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman so as to combat the threat of climate change. Now they include Saudi Green Initiative. Then another initiative is Middle East Green Initiative. If you take Middle East Green Initiative, it aims to plant 50 billion trees. Of this, around 40 billion trees, or 80%, will be planted in the West Asian region. Now, this represents 5% of the global target of planting 1 trillion trees and also to reduce 2.5% of global carbon levels. It also aims to reduce carbon emissions that come from hydrocarbon production in the region by 60%. At the global scale, it aims to reduce the carbon emissions by 10%. So in this regard, the Saudi Crown Prince has called the leaders of Qatar, Iran, Sudan, Kuwait, Bahrain and other countries to partner this project. In partnership with participating countries, they are planning to arrive at innovative methods to irrigate the terrains. Here know that research will be done to use treated water for irrigation, cloud seeding and others. Research will also be done on purpose-driven solutions like planting native trees that require support for 3 years to grow, and these trees will then be able to survive on their own with natural irrigation. So these are some information about Middle East Green Initiative. Now let's come to Saudi Green Initiative. Now the aim of this initiative is to transform Saudi from one of the world's top oil producers into a global leader in forging a greener world. Remember, this is part of Saudi's efforts to diversify the economy away from its oil dependence. And in this regard, it aims to raise vegetation cover, address land degradation, preserve marine life, and also to reduce carbon emissions. Under this initiative, within the Saudi kingdom, 10 billion trees will be planted in the coming years. And with this, the kingdom will contribute to raising the percentage of the protected area to more than 30% of its total land area. And under this initiative, the government will also work towards reducing carbon emissions by more than 4% of global contributions. This will be achieved by adopting a renewable energy program that will generate 50% of Saudi's energy from renewables by the year 2030. So this is about Green Middle East Initiative and Green Saudi Initiative. Now the author also talks about other global collaborations of Saudi Arabia with respect to climate change mitigation initiatives. First, he talks about the G20 presidency of Saudi. See, Saudi assumed the presidency of G20 in December 2019 for a period of 1 year or for a 1-year term. And know that it was the first Arab nation to assume the G20 presidency. Here author tells that one of the main pillars of Saudi G20 presidency was to safeguard the planet. And in this regard, the G20 introduced many initiatives under the presidency of Saudi. One is establishing of a global coral reef research and development accelerator platform. Now, the purpose of this platform is to accelerate scientific knowledge and technology development in support of coral reef survival, conservation, resilience, adaptation, and restoration. Another initiative under the presidency of Saudi in G20 is the acknowledgement of circular carbon economy platform. See, circular carbon economy is an integrated and inclusive approach to transition towards more comprehensive, resilient, sustainable, climate-friendly energy systems. These systems will support and enable sustainable development. we'll see how this is possible. This circular carbon economy, it enables countries to take advantage of all technologies, forms of energy, and mitigation opportunities as per the resource availability, economical feasibility, and national circumstances. The concept builds on the principles of circular economy and applies them to manage carbon emissions. How is this done? See, it aims to reduce the carbon that must be managed at the first place. Then it aims to reuse carbon as an input to create feedstocks and fuels. Then it aims to recycle carbon through the natural carbon cycle with bioenergy. Then it aims to remove excess carbon and store it. So with regard to achieving the targets of circular carbon economy, the author notes that Saudi Arabia currently operates the largest carbon capture and utilization plant in the world. And this helps in turning 500,000 tons of carbon dioxide annually into products like fertilizers and methanol. Saudi also operates one of the region's most advanced carbon dioxide enhanced oil recovery plants that capture and store 8 lakh tons of carbon dioxide annually. Now, secondly, the author talks about Saudi's partnership with India. See, it should be remembered that Saudi is already collaborating with India in many renewable energy projects. It joined with India in the International Solar Alliance. It also signed several MOUs and agreements in key sectors, including renewable energy. In this regard, author praises India's remarkable commitments to tackle climate change and to achieve its Paris Agreement targets, that are the INDCs. He notes that India's renewable energy capacity is the fourth largest in the world, where India has an ambitious target of achieving 450 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by the year 2030. So this is about what author has to say with reference to India. The conclusion goes like the launch of Saudi Green Initiative and the Middle East Green Initiative would provide a momentum so that all countries can come together to unify their efforts to combat climate change and to save the planet and to save a lot of small island developing states. So these are some of the information with reference to the analysis of this.
Very good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. Here are the list of news articles chosen for discussion today, and the video is timestamped for your convenience. So now look at this news article. Another wave spells more nutrition loss. So as we know, during the first wave of pandemic and all, thousands of people suffered from loss of employment.
A very good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the date 26th April 2021. These are the list of news articles
Well, the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. These are the news articles chosen for today's discussion. They are given along with the page number of different editions. Link for the handwritten notes in PDF format and the timestamping for the discussed articles are given in the description box as well as the comment section for the benefit of the mobile viewers. Now let us start with the first article. See, this discussion is about oxygen, but not in the context of corona pandemic. This discussion is about oxygen in the context of space. See, the oxygen has been extracted for the first time in the planet Mars. This was done by the Perseverance rover. See, the Perseverance rover is a part of NASA Mars 2020 mission. This rover is stationed at Jezero Crater of Mars. See, the Perseverance rover reached the Martian surface in February. From that time, the Perseverance rover has earned a lot of achievements. For example, even last week, it flew a helicopter in the Martian surface. The name of the helicopter is Ingenuity. Now, the Perseverance rover has extracted oxygen from the Martian surface. This was possible due to a device called MOXIE. MOXIE was able to produce oxygen from the thin Martian atmosphere for the first time. As we know, on Mars, carbon dioxide makes up 96% of gas in the planet's atmosphere. Oxygen is only 0.13% compared to 21% in Earth's atmosphere. So from this thin atmosphere, MOXIE has extracted oxygen. MOXIE stands for Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment. It is on board the Perseverance rover to Mars. It is a small 6-wheeled robot. Similar to a tree on Earth, MOXIE inhales carbon dioxide and exhales oxygen. See, the MOXIE collects carbon dioxide from the Martian atmosphere, then electrochemically splits the carbon dioxide molecule into oxygen and carbon monoxide. The oxygen is then analyzed for purity before being vented back out to the atmosphere. The oxygen generated along with the carbon monoxide and other exhaust products are vented back out to Martian atmosphere. This is a pictographic representation of MOXIE working, sourced from NASA. Interested aspirants can go through it. Now let us see why oxygen is important in space. See, oxygen is important in space at two levels. One, it is an important source of life. Two, it is an important component of combustion. Then a question arises. Why not take oxygen from Earth instead of extracting oxygen from Martian atmosphere? See, space travel is an expensive affair. The lighter we travel, the more fuel efficient we can be. So by making oxygen in the space, we can help astronauts travel light in the future and thereby cut down the expenses. Extracting oxygen from space can also make space travel safer and can develop a sustainable alternative for the astronauts. With this, we have come to the end of the discussion. In this article, we discussed about MOXIE and its working. Now let us move on to the next article. This news article mentions that scientists have discovered a new black hole, and it has been nicknamed as unicorn because of its rare nature. First, let us see what is a black hole. A black hole is an astronomical object. It is a place in space where gravity pulls so much that even light cannot get out. The gravity is so strong because matter has been squeezed into a tiny space. See, the black hole happens when a star is dying. Since no light can get out, people can't see black holes. They are invisible. Only space telescopes with special tools can help find us black holes. See, the black holes are classified based on size and mass. The first kind is the smallest ones. See, according to the scientists, the smallest black holes are small as just one atom. They are very tiny but have the mass of a large mountain. Scientists believe that the smallest black holes formed when the universe began. Another kind of black hole is called the stellar black hole. The stellar black hole mass can be up to 20 times more than the mass of the sun. These stellar black holes are made when the center of a very big star falls in upon itself, or when a star collapses. See, there are many stellar mass black holes in Earth's galaxy. So far we have seen two kinds of black holes. Now let us see the third kind. The third kind of black holes are the largest black holes. They are called supermassive black holes. These black holes have masses that are more than 1 million suns together. Scientists also have found proof that every large galaxy contains a supermassive black hole at its center. Even our galaxy, that is the Milky Way galaxy, has a supermassive black hole at its center. It is called Sagittarius A. Sagittarius A has a mass equal to 4 million suns. In addition to all these three categories, the astronomers also suspect there are different kind of black holes called intermediate mass black holes. These intermediate mass black holes weighs 100 solar masses to more than 10,000 solar masses. With this background information, let us see about the unicorn black hole mentioned in the news. See, the unicorn black hole is said to be the smallest known black hole so far in the Milky Way galaxy. It resides in the constellation Monoceros of Milky Way galaxy. It is suspected to be a stellar black hole, and it is a black hole closest to our solar system. It lies a mere 1,500 light years away from us. The unicorn black hole is roughly 3 times the mass of our sun, which is 3 solar masses. So it is a super light-weighted black hole. So far, very few such super light-weighted black holes are known to us because they are incredibly hard to find. Now, another interesting discovery is that unicorn has a companion. This companion is a luminous red giant star that orbits with the black hole, as you can see here. It is named V723MON. See, the star is bloated and is nearing the end of its life. It is said that our sun will also swell up as the red giant like this in about 5 billion years. Another important fact is that the strong gravity of unicorn alters the shape of the star. It is due to a phenomenon known as tidal distortion. The tidal distortion makes the star elongated rather than spherical, as you can see in this image. With this, we have come to the end of this discussion. In this article, we discussed about the black holes, types of black holes, and the newly discovered unicorn black holes. See, this news article talks about a study which found that groundwater depletion may reduce winter cropping intensity in our country. So in today's discussion, we will see the findings of the study and what are the causes for groundwater depletion. The syllabus relevant to this article is displayed on the screen. Aspirants can go through it. First, let us see the sources for groundwater. See, the sources for groundwater include the rainwater and water from other sources such as rivers and ponds. All these water infiltrate or seep through the soil and fill the empty spaces and cracks that are present deep below the ground. This water recharges the groundwater. Another important source of groundwater is the aquifers. See, the aquifers are the places where the groundwater is stored naturally between the layers of hard rock. This water from the aquifers can be pumped out through tube wells or hand pumps. The groundwater can be everlasting if it gets properly replenished. But this is not the scenario in India. In India, the groundwater is getting depleted year after year. There are various reasons behind this. As you can see, one of the most common factor affecting the water table is the agricultural activities. So let us discuss about the agricultural factor. As we know, traditionally India is an agrarian economy. So in India, irrigation is needed because of the unpredictability of monsoon and variability in rainfall. Also, the winter and summer season are also more or less dry in most parts of India. So large tracts of the country are deficient in rainfall and they are drought prone. For example, northwestern India and Deccan Plateau receive deficient in rainfall and they are more prone to droughts. Hence, it is difficult to practice agriculture without assured irrigation during dry seasons. Also, India uses water-intensive crops like rice, sugarcane, jute. So this makes irrigation necessary. But irrigation systems such as canals are there only in few places. It is because canal irrigation is possible in areas that are extensive like plains and are drained by perennial rivers. For example, canals are more prevalent in northern plains and coastal plains. Even the canal system may suffer from lack of water due to erratic rainfall. Therefore, in most of the areas in India, farmers have to use groundwater for irrigation. This has led to increase or overuse of groundwater due to population pressure on agriculture. This has finally resulted in depletion of groundwater table or water table. Currently in India, agriculture accounts for most groundwater utilization. The agriculture almost uses 92% of groundwater in India. This level of groundwater utilization is relatively high in the river basins. For example, northwestern region and parts of South India. The states of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and Tamil Nadu have used high degree of groundwater. So based on this basic information, let us see the findings of the research study. See, the research study studied 3 main irrigation types, namely dug wells, tube wells and canals in winter cropped areas. According to the study, due to severe groundwater depletion, the cropping intensity in the winter season may decrease by 20% by the year 2025. Cropping intensity is nothing but the amount of land planted with crops. It is one of the important indices for assessing the efficiency of agricultural sector. The level of cropping intensity varies with the behavior of the monsoon and availability of irrigation water. See, according to the study, 13% of the villages farming winter crops are located in critically water depleted regions. So in future, if access to all groundwater irrigation is lost, then these villages may lose 68% of their cropped area. Most of these critically water depleted regions are in northwest India and central India. The study also found that switching to canal irrigation from groundwater irrigation has limited adaptation potential at the national scale. Because even if we switch to canal irrigation in groundwater depleted areas, the cropping intensity may still decline by 7% nationally. Now let us see the reasons for this depletion. See, according to the experts, the intensive agriculture is the main reason for groundwater depletion. For example, policies such as Green Revolution brought intensive agriculture to India. The Green Revolution used high-yielding variety seeds for increasing production, especially for wheat and rice. The use of HYV seeds required using fertilizers, pesticides, and regular supply of water. See, Green Revolution was a great success and it resulted in surplus production. For example, the states of Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh heavily benefited from Green Revolution. But the states also used large portion of their groundwater for irrigation. So this has resulted in groundwater depletion in these states. In simpler terms, the unsustainable groundwater use for irrigation resulted in groundwater scarcity. So to overcome the issues of groundwater depletion and reduction in cropping intensity, there are some suggestions given by this study. Let us see about them. The first important suggestion is water saving technologies. See, water saving technologies could be adopted like a sprinkler irrigation and drip irrigation. These are categories of micro irrigation. See, micro irrigation is the slow application of continuous drips, tiny streams of miniature sprays of water above or below the soil surface. It is effective in saving water and increase water use efficiency as compared to conventional surface irrigation method. The second important suggestion given by the study is the use of less water intensive crops. This will help in effective use of limited groundwater resources. Third important suggestion given by the study is framing policies for enhancing irrigation infrastructure. With this, we have come to the end of the discussion. In this discussion, we saw about the sources of groundwater, reasons for groundwater space station. Let us discuss about it.
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindi News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the date 24th of April 2021. These are the list of news articles taken for today. Hail is formed when drops of water freeze together in the cold upper regions understanding about hailstones and their formation. See, hail is a type of precipitation. Hail is formed when drops of water freeze together in the cold upper regions of thunderstorm clouds. Most hailstones measure between 5 millimeters and 15 centimeter in diameter, and they can be round in shape or even jagged or spiked. But remember that hailstones are not frozen raindrops. Frozen rain falls as water and then it freezes as it nears the ground. But hail actually falls as a solid only. So how are these hailstones formed? They are formed by layers of water that attach and freeze in a large cloud. A frozen droplet begins to fall from a cloud during a storm, but it is pushed back up into the cloud by a strong updraft of wind. So when the hailstone is lifted, it hits liquid water droplets, and those droplets then freeze on the hailstone that is on its surface, and thus they add another layer to that hailstone. And these hailstones eventually falls to earth when it becomes too heavy to remain in the cloud, or they fall when the updraft stops or when it slows down. Now know that there are different types of hailstones. The first is soft hail, or it is also known as snow pellets. These are white, opaque, rounded or conical pellets, and they are as large as 6 millimeter in diameter. They have a low density and they can be readily crushed. Now the second type is the small hail. They are transparent or translucent pellets of and they have diameters of a few millimeters. Now the third one is the true hailstone. They are hard pellets of ice and they are larger than 5 millimeter in diameter. Now they may be of different shapes. They often have structures of concentric layers of alternately clear and opaque ice, as you can see in this image. And you know that a moderately severe storm may produce hailstones a few centimeters in diameter, whereas a very severe storm may release stones with a maximum diameter of 10 centimeter or more. I know that large damaging hails fall most frequently in the continental areas of middle latitudes like the USA and the northern India, but it is rare in the equatorial region. Now these hailstones can cause extreme damage to people. It can damage buildings, vehicles, and even crops. So people have tried many ways to prevent hail. And interestingly, in the 18th century, it is said that Europeans began trying to prevent hail by firing cannons into the clouds and also by ringing church bells. But still, it couldn't be prevented. So these are the points that you should know about hailstones. Now let's move on to the next discussion. Our next discussion is based on this news article, which mentions that customs officials at Chennai airport have seized cut leaves that are worth more than.
Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. Displayed are the list of news articles.
A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hindu News Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy. Here are the list of news articles for your reference, and the video is timestamped for. That said, let us consider why is option. Look at this article in the Metropolis of Chennai edition. Let us use this article as an opportunity. Look at this news article. Now, this news article is with reference to a study which was released by UNICEF.
Hello everyone, welcome back again to the Indian News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy. These are the list of news articles that we will be discussing today.
Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to the Hindi News Analysis by Shankar IAS Academy for the date 20th April 2021. These are the list of news articles chosen for today's analysis. They have been provided